Everyone. So today I Ramnesh Kumar Sahu of class 9th is here. In the next few minutes, we are going to talk about the French Revolution, which is a part of the modern history. So what is the French Revolution? The French Revolution was the time period in France from 1789 to 1799 during which the fundamental social and political changes occurred. Now the question arises, why and how did it happen? Because it all started with the event of the storming of the Bastille Fort on 14 July 1789. This was due to the rumors that spread in the city that the king would soon order the army to fire upon the citizens, and it finally led to the execution of the king in France. So now let's find the answer of this question. How and why did this happen? French society during the late 18th century. Louis XVI was the grandson of Louis XV and belonged to the Bourbon family of kings. When he was 20 years old, he became the King of France in 1774 and married an Austrian princess, Marie Antoinette. When he became the king, he found an empty treasury because under the reign of King Louis XVI, 13 American colonies became independent from Britain with the help of France, and also to maintain a large palace of Versailles in France, large amount of expenditure occurred. These all led to the increase in the taxes of 1 billion livres to an addition on 2 billion livres. And already France was in a bankrupt. Now it all had to be fulfilled by the third estate. Now the feudal system or the old regime. The French society was divided into three estates, first, second, and third, which included the clergy, nobility, and 97% of the society, including peasants, businessmen, and workers. Now the struggle to survive. There was an increase in population from 23 million to 28 million in just few years. Now it resulted in increase in demand and but decrease in food supply. And finally, the prices of bread and other essential things increased, and there were the fixed wages of the shop workers. This all led to the subsistence crisis. There were major three philosophers in the French society, including John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Baron de Montesquieu, who wrote three books like the Two Treatises of Government, The Social Contract, and The Spirit of Laws. These philosophers inspired the citizens of France. The Estates General Assembly on 5th May 1789. It was an assembly for the new proposal of laws. Now, the first estate and second estate had 300 representatives each, and the third estate had 600 members. And the first estate, second estate had one vote each, and third estate also had one vote. But this time, the third estate demanded for one member, one vote policy. But King Louis XVI denied this agreement. Now, due to this, the National Assembly was formed on 20th June 1789 under the leadership of Mirabeau and Abbessius after the tennis court oath. And it led to the formation of constitutional monarchy in France. The National Assembly drafted the Constitution of France in 1791 and divided the government into three parts like legislature, executive, and judiciary. Men above 25 years of age with the highest taxpayer were active citizens and having the right of vote, and the remaining were classified as the passive citizens. France abolishes monarchy and becomes republic. King Louis XVI secretly planned to execute the National Assembly with the King of Prussia and other neighboring countries, including Austria. But this mission failed because the National Assembly has already sensed about this trick and they declared a war against Prussia and Austria in April 1792. And they sang Marseillaise, which was composed by the poet Roger de Lisle. And Marseillaise is now the national anthem of France. Now, the most famous political club was the Jacobins Club. Jacobins Club was named after the convent of Saint Jacob under the leadership of Maximilien Robespierre. And the members of the Jacobins Club wore like the San Clotos couple, those without knee breeches, and the red hat symbolizes liberty. Here are some achievements of the Jacobins Club, like insurrection of a large number of Parisians, storming of the palace of the Tuileries, and finally, the most important imprisonment of the royal family on the morning of August 10. Men above 21 years of age, regardless of their wealth, got the right to vote, and the newly elected assembly after the National Assembly was called the Convention. And finally, the execution of Louis XVI publicly at the Place de la Concorde on 21st January 1793 was done under the case of treason by the court. Guillotine was a device which was invented by Dr. Guillotine for the execution of the guilty. Now, the reign of terror from 1793 to 1794. It was the reign during which the Maximilien Robespierre ruled France, and the meat and bread prices were rationed, use of more expensive flour was forbidden, and churches were shut down and converted into barracks and offices. And finally, Robespierre was convicted in the court in July 1794 and guillotined the next day. Now, it led to the Directory rule in France. Two elected legislative councils were formed, and they elected to make a directory, an executive made up of 5 members. There were frequent clashes between the legislative councils and directors, which make it easier for the arrival of the military dictator Napoleon Bonaparte. Did women have a revolution? Yes, women also had a revolution. They finally got the right to vote in 1946, and the Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women was the most popular political club in which women had participated. Now, finally, the abolition of slavery by the Constitution of 1848 in France. And the French Revolution finally concluded with the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte and his defeatment at Waterloo in 1815. Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself as the Emperor of France in 1804, and he finally was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. But his revolutionary ideas of liberty and modern law still exist in the Constitution of France. And finally, here is the timeline of the French Revolution, which discuss about the important dates in the French history. Independent nation of France. Independence Day of France is celebrated on the 14th July every year as the Bastille Day. And it inspired other nations and other countries for the revolution against the monarchy and aristocratic rule from decades and years ago. I hope you like this presentation. Thanks for watching.